If your desire is to make a 1450 or higher on the SAT, you may be missing out on the value that Desmos brings. Hi, I'm Shanna, CEO and founder of Sharp Sessions Virtual Math Tutoring Company, and we help students get into their dream schools fully funded. Today, we're going to dive into how to solve absolute value equations. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to solve them by hand, because I do believe that you do need to understand the concepts behind the questions. But I'm also going to show you how to maximize your time using Desmos to help propel you or to push you to get the answer within seconds. So let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see what I'm working on. So what we're going to look at is this question here. We are asked, what is one possible solution to the given equation? And so, of course, we see the equation is the absolute value of x minus 5 is equal to 10. Now, the backstory here, when we talk about the absolute value of an equation, one thing I like to tell people, you have to understand what the definition of absolute value is. So when we talk about absolute value, that is asking us, what is the distance from 0 to that value on the number line? So for instance, let's hypothetically say we're asked, what is the absolute value of 3? Now, if we're asked what the absolute value of 3, what is really being asked is, what is the distance of 3? So let's find 3 on the number line. Here is 3. What is the distance in length of 3 from 0? And so I will just jump 1, 2, 3. So my answer here is 3. Okay, but we may also be asked, what is the absolute value of -3? And so for that, what we would say here is the same thing. We're counting the distance, except we're going in the opposite direction, right? Of course, this is 1, 2, this is -1, -2. So I would jump 1, 2, 3. And so the absolute value of -3 is also 3. So what I tell students, whenever you see an absolute value equation, that means you're going to have 2 solutions, okay? So bear in mind, if you are on the SAT and you're asked to solve an absolute value equation, now this is one of the simpler ones. I'm going to find more, of course, difficult questions, but I just want to make sure you understand the concepts first. And so if you're asked for absolute value equations, chances are this one is asking for a possible solution, but sometimes when they give you the answer choices like A, B, C, D, they'll only put one answer choice. You may solve the obvious one and don't know how to get the other additional answer. So let's dive in and see, well, what does this mean? So if we're in fact wanting to solve this absolute value equation here, we should think, okay, so there are 2 possible solutions to this equation, okay? If we're saying that whatever is in here has a distance of 10 from 0, so let's see what that means. Here I am. Here is my 0, and so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We should participate. That's 10. I hope that's 10, right? Okay, that will be -10. If you're counting the distance, 10 and -10 both have a distance. If you were to count jump in, right? This should be 10 units away from 0. This should also be 10 units away from 0. What does this tell us? Well, this tells us that whatever is between your bars, which is the x minus 5, well, that is either 10 or it's either -10. X minus 5 is either -10 or 10. Okay, and so that's what we want to get here. Okay, so x minus 5 is either 10 or -10. Okay, so let's time ourselves now to see, okay, we know that we're going to have 2 solutions. Let's see how long it's going to take me to solve this question. All right, starting now. So we started at 5:39. Okay, so I would do what? I would add 5 to both sides. And so this means, that's going to be 15. Okay, I'll just do it outright. Okay, so that means x is 15. And then here, of course, we are also adding 5 to both sides. And so that means what? X is -5. So we have 2 solutions. So for this question, Either or would be acceptable. Okay, so now what I want to do is, because I love to use Desmos, it's there for the taking, use it to help maximize your score. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, Desmos particularly, so that we can look at how we would solve this question in seconds, literally, if we're using Desmos. So let me share my screen. So here we are, Desmos. And be sure, if you are using the Desmos calculator, make sure you go to, if you're studying at home, you have to go to desmos.com//practice, and then you'll select SAT, PSAT, and the calculator, so that you're using the correct calculator when you're practicing at home, because the Desmos calculator that you get on the SAT exam is not the same as the calculator you get just regularly if you go to desmos.com. Okay, so that's very important to note. All right, so now let's see how long it takes us to solve this just using Desmos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the absolute value of x minus 5 is equal to 10, literally, right? Equal 10. How many seconds did that take me? A few seconds, and I saw that my answer was -5 and 15. So basically, when you're solving a system, or not a system, but a absolute value equation, if you're looking for the answers, it's going to be where that graph or the vertical lines cross the x-axis. And so in this case, my answer would be -5 and 15. And so that took me about 5 seconds, okay? To solve it by hand, or some of us are familiar with using mental math. If I were to do that, it would take me about 30 to 40 seconds as opposed to 5 seconds. It might not seem like a lot, but on the SAT, every second counts, because of course the level of questions vary, and you need the questions that you need a time for the questions that are going to take a while. So of course, punch that thing into Desmos and get the answer in seconds, move on to something that's more challenging, and keep on rocking and rolling. I hope you found this video helpful. Do like, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for free resources, I did share a cheat sheet that we use with our students to help you to get your highest possible score on the SAT. Until next time, see ya.